Welcome back, peoples. Today, today was a really hard. Let's just say the end of the day was really hard for me because we all know The Walking Dead premiered, and it was a real difficult episode. Basically, I have to say that this was an insane season premiere for The Walking Dead because certain events happened during this episode. Events that a lot of people speculated that could happen, a lot of people knew that was going to happen, a lot of people that act like they knew because they know stuff from the comics. This and that, it doesn't even matter what's what. All I have to say is that this episode really got me. Got me bad. So, oh, Jesus. We've been watching The Walking Dead for 7 years. 7 years. So 7 seasons, 7 years basically. And I have to say that this is one of those really strong episodes, in my opinion, for me, because it was heartbreaking and stuff just happened and it was just, oh my god. This episode, I would just watching the episode, because the one thing about this whole season premiere was people wanted to know who died. Who was the unlucky person to get hit and bashed in the head? Everyone wanted to know. Heck, I wanted to know. And they did it. We did not find out in the beginning of the episode. We found out more in the middle of the episode of who died. And it was just brilliant with how they did it, because for me, I was just waiting. I was anticipating for this, and I've been waiting for this for all this time. And just looking at the episodes, we're so close. I mean, I had my predictions, and I'm going to tell you my predictions before I continue on, but I had this feeling in my gut just watching the episode, because it's just butterflies and everything, and it's just sickening and everything. I just want to see what's going on, because the main thing wasn't about who died. It wasn't that. Something I was looking forward to, but what I was looking forward to was the emotion that everyone's going to be feeling. What's next after this tragic event happens? And we still don't know, because the episode ends after we see more of the continuation about what happened. But that's for in a little while. The first thing I want to say is we all know what happened during this episode. The episode's already been out the episode premiered a couple of hours ago, so I'm going to go ahead and just give you my prediction, because, it really doesn't matter, but my prediction before getting into this episode of who was going to die, in my opinion, I kind of knew and did not know who was going to die, because, honestly, what sucks about The Walking Dead is there's a comic that foretells everything that's going to happen in this series. And that's what truly sucks about watching The Walking Dead, because even if you try to stay away, there's commercials, there's people, there's also the internet that could potentially spoil stuff for you. And it sucks because you have all these people, especially on the internet, saying that they know, cocky, and saying that, oh, we know who's gonna do it because they read the books. They know, they exactly, everything. Another person could say, well, they freaking, they're not doing exactly what they do in the books. True, they're not. But people know that there's the reapers above their heads, because it's already everyone knows who died during this episode. So in the comics, you already know Glenn is the one to die during this episode. During the whole Negan situation, he's the first to die. And yeah, everyone know that I knew that, and I was expecting that to happen. I didn't want it to happen, but I was expecting it. But I'm not using the comics as my guide to what I'm thinking, because honestly, it's just how I see the characters, how if I liked them or not. So basically, we already knew there's a difference between the comic and the episode or the TV show. Glenn dies, but the situation's different, because certain characters are still alive, and it's a whole different situation. But Abraham's there. Now, Abraham should have already died. So, in a situation that happened before these events. So you have basically something they could do because they're introducing a brand new character, a villain that is so insane and crazy. They need to bring a good presentation for him, and Negan, he says he wants to make a good introduction basically during this episode. And what's good to give a good introduction is to let him have two kills of two character, actually big characters in the series. So go ahead and throw Abraham in the situation and have Glenn in the situation also, because this scene is about him too. So there's that. So we already know about that. So what? Whatever. I wasn't hoping for the situation to turn to what it was, because, like, for me, I love all the characters, but if I had to choose, this was my thoughts before I saw the episode. If I had to choose who should die, I already knew who I wanted to die. Actually, one person, because I wasn't expecting him to kill two people. But the person I wanted him to go ahead and kill was Rosita. Now, you'll be wondering, why Rosita? When you have other characters like Aaron or Eugene, something like that. The reason why I chose Rosita is because there's not much going on with her. I mean, what does she provide? I mean, it's not about what the person could provide or anything. I'm just seeing her as a character through my eyes. My opinion. What has Rosita done? Like, what is she? She's a good shooter, basically it. And that's basically all she is. She came with Eugene and Abraham, and what else is going with her? The only thing that went through, like, was going with her was the whole situation she had with Abraham. And, that already ended because Abraham got a liking to Sasha, and he found out that he actually loves Sasha, basically. And to Rosita, to Abraham saw her as just the last woman on Earth, and she's not, so they just broke off. So what's there for Rosita now? I mean, the last thing we saw about Rosita was, she's depressed about the situation, but she also started talking to, I forgot the person that's in Alexandria, the son. He started talking to the son, and she started talking to the son in Alexandria. Dang, I forgot his name. But it was the old leader of Alexandria. Son, basically. But there was that. I don't know if that's going to still be continuing or what. But right now, I don't see much use of Rosita. She's just a pretty face in my eyes, which it's a good thing, but really in the character, nah. Now, I don't really get into character deals with everyone because it's not really my style. I just enjoy it. But I just want to discuss, my thoughts about this whole scene right here. Now, people are saying, why don't you just go ahead and just say, why didn't you want Eugene to die? Well, that was a big hint that Eugene would die because, it's Eugene. I mean, he did what, Eugene is a character where no one really cares, let him die. For me, I didn't want him to die because he grew as a character during the whole last season. He grew up, basically. I mean, there was hints that he could be one of the major characters because, you didn't really care about Eugene at the first, but then, after the end of the last season, you grew to like him. He found that he knew how to make ammo and stuff, and then he had that one-on-one talk with Abraham. And for me, as a person watching this and seeing Eugene, I like that. I like how Eugene became it. I didn't want him to die. I'll be sad if he would have died. And that's basically my reason for Eugene. The next character that people will be saying, how about Aaron then? Like, he just came into the group. Why does he need to be the one to not get killed or anything? Well, for me, Aaron seems like a good character. Like, this is my decision between the characters in the situation right now. I don't want them to. I want Rosita to die more than these characters right here because, say for Aaron, even though he hasn't been in the group much longer, I like him more than Rosita basically because Aaron, he's dependable. He cares about the group even though he didn't really know. He actually went out to save the group before he even knew about them. Like, he be watching them and everything, but that's the type of person he is or what his job was to do. And the one scene that I really enjoyed Aaron in was the whole scene with him and Daryl when they were stuck in the car, and we fight together, just telling Daryl that we're both, this is it. If this is the end, then I'm gonna be helping you. We'll be going back to back with these zombies. That's why I saw he's determined and he doesn't want nothing to happen to his friends or anything. You can say the same thing with Rosita. It's just that I got more into the Aaron liking basically, so I didn't want him to die. And that's basically it because you had the Aaron characters like Sasha, Maggie, Carl, Rick, Abraham, but we're not going to talk about Abraham or Glenn because we already talked about them, and Daryl. Now, Daryl's a wild card. We didn't know. I didn't want him to die, technically, because he's a great character and, whatever. But he's just a wild card, so there's not much to say. But that's all. I mean, I'm going to continue rambling. I'll still continue rambling if this goes on. So that's basically my discussion about the whole, pretenses of the episode. I want Rosita to die. I like all the other characters and, whatever. So we got to the scene where Negan kills someone, and it was Abraham. Abraham dies. It was a shocking scene. I wasn't... it sucks because I kind of expected and I didn't want it to happen. Stuff like that. I kind of knew because if the comics, of course, the comics spoiled it, kind of. But, we knew that Abraham shouldn't continue on because, certain characters are coming in and stuff like that and, make things weird for anyone who knows about the Walking Dead comic. But regardless, it was insane to see Abraham dying because, this could have been a good point to even change more of the events of the Walking Dead series from the comics. Seeing Abraham die, okay, it's starting to get back in line, kind of. Abraham actually dies, so we won't see what's going to continue next. But the shocking point is that he wasn't the only one that gets killed. Sadly, the next death could have been really, obviously, it could have been prevented, basically, because Abraham could have been the only one killed, but Daryl ended up messing stuff up. I mean, I can understand its emotions and everything, and he's just pissed off, but that was a bad move, and we're not going to see no outcome of the situation, because when Daryl went and attacked Negan and he got thrown down, that was already the death of Glenn right there, or not just Glenn, but anyone else that was there, because honestly, if you didn't know about the comics, you knew, shit, someone else is going to die. Who? Well, Glenn. Seeing Glenn's death was just terrible. Oh my god, it really sickening because it was exactly just like how it was in the comics. Everything gory and everything. It's just, it really proved that Negan's a terrible not a terrible person, because he's honest with what he says. Even though it's real messed up, but he said that, he wants to make a good impression, and he's basically keeping his word. If I give you one chance. If you mess up, that's it. That one chance, if he would have let Daryl done that, that would have been two chances, and he wouldn't have kept his word. So he is truly sorry what happened, but it just had to happen the way it is. Y'all messed up. I'm truly sorry about the situation, but I'm gonna have to kill another one of y'all. That's the situation right there. Totally preventable, but it was just sad in the end. I did not want to see Glenn die, even though people knew about it in the comics. Anyone could say, of course they knew he was going to die. No, you did not know because you have help with the comics. Come on now. It's what it is, but come on. It was just crazy, though, because no one knew that two people were going to die. It was just speculation two people were going to die. I mean, if Glenn was the first one to... Say Glenn was the first one to get hit, then that would have been it. I mean, it all depends if Daryl still did what he needed to do to make the other person die. But if Glenn was the first one to die, then we would just second guess that, oh, Abraham's not dying. He'll probably just live on, just that. But no, they made sure Abraham was the first one to die. But then you knew that when Daryl made that mistake, all the people who knew about everything would just go to Glenn. Oh, this is terrible. I was sick. I literally, tears were forming in my eyes, basically. But, Jesus. It was a terrible, terrible episode, and I'm just sad about, especially with Glenn, because, Glenn tried to speak to Maggie, but he couldn't. It was just a sad, sad time. But regardless, it was amazing how they put Negan in the light of the whole situation, because he was I don't really want to talk about how the visual looked, but the visuals of him actually doing what he was doing to Glenn, it was insane, because I don't know. You have to just see the scene of him just hitting them. Like, all you see is the shadow of Negan bashing the lifeless body of Glenn's head, basically. And it's all shadows, it's all at angles, and the way he's just standing, the way his pose is, it's just crazy. And I find that fascinating how they did that. And it's real intimidating because Negan's an intimidating person now. I mean, after seeing that, what else can happen? What else? You're in a lose-lose situation, and there's nothing else you can do. It's just insane. But those are basically the two major scenes. But there is one more major scene that really got me going, and it was the last scene between Negan, Carl, and Rick. And now, right when I picked it up right when Negan was putting the freaking belt around Carl's arm. His arm's gonna get cut off. I just knew it right there. Because the comics, I mean, obviously this is coming from the comics. So the whole situation is to prove a point, to show that Negan means that y'all gonna follow Negan's rules. He's gonna have to go ahead and prove a point again by having Rick cut off Carl's hand. And this scene was just like, I was just like this basically the whole time watching it, because I did not know what's gonna happen. Because two things could have happened. Two things I knew was gonna happen. An arm was gonna get cut off, because if not, everyone's gonna die regardless. It's just I didn't know if it's gonna be Carl's or Rick's, because we all know Rick's arms get cut off. Totally different situation, but we know that's gonna happen. We don't know if it's actually gonna be Rick or Carl. And now, for me, I was actually thinking Rick's just gonna go ahead and cut his own hand, because the way it's all laid out, you have Carl's hand and then you have Rick's hand, and now the moment, because the emotions, Negan just telling them do it, it seems like, whatever, just cut your own, like, without saying that, just cut your own hand off and not mess with Carl. I was thinking that situation, that's gonna happen. That's how it's gonna be laid out, because Rick's not gonna cut his own son's hand off. I mean, if they want something, then he'll just do it to himself. And it's a little risky, but it could work. Now, the whole situation, like, now when I'm thinking, like, that's what I was thinking, but then you have the point to where Carl was telling them, even though it's just a couple seconds, Carl said, just do it, just cut my hand, just do it. Right when he was doing that, even though it was just a split second of time between him saying it and the end of the scene, I was obviously thinking, shit, Rick's gonna do it, because I mean, what, like, if, like, you don't want, like, in Rick's situation, you don't want to cut your son's hand off, even if, like, everyone's gonna die. You don't want to do it. You have that one deal, but then Carl just puts in his head, just do it, Dad, just do it, cut my arm off. There's a little sense, like, it sucks to say, but there's a little sense of relief. Basically, like, if I was in that situation, he's telling me to do it, then just do it, because, I mean, you're a lose-lose situation, basically. But the only thing that saved him was actually Negan saying, this is what I wanted. And the whole point of that scene it was heartbreaking, but he literally broke Rick. He broke his mindset and everything, because at the beginning, I'm gonna kill you. And even though he went through that situation, at the very end, with the whole situation between Maggie and Rick, Maggie still wants to go kill him, and Rick says we can't. It's suicide, basically. So it's just insane. I want to see what's gonna happen. And honestly, but for the whole events of Negan telling them that we're taking Daryl, I wanted to see what was the reaction, because basically Glenn's death is on Daryl, but we're not gonna see that, and I would doubt we're gonna see anything between Daryl and the group at all, because right now we're in a time of reflection between Rick's group, basically. After all this, they got the bodies, and that's it. They're gonna have time to reflect and see what happened. I mean, the reflection is Negan's boss now, but at least they'll have time to think about it, try to go in terms. For Daryl, though, Daryl's in a worse situation, because he gets no one to talk to about the situation or anything like that, so he's gonna be stuck with Negan, with Dwight, with Simon, if I recall that's his name. You know, I don't know what's gonna happen, but Daryl's situation's really not good. And that's basically it right there. I mean, in the end, I'm just talking about the episode and, you know, my prediction before the episode and how I see the episode now. Like I already told you, this was an amazing episode. It was sickening, but it was amazing, and I'm just sad. Even the one scene that really got me was the whole what if future that could have happened was when you have all of the group, Rick, Glenn, even people that wasn't in the situation like Morgan and Tara and them, they were all eating. Basically, it was the scene. It was what Negan said. You thought that y'all were gonna have Sunday dinner together in an open like area on a table, you know, dinner. And you see that scene, a what if future scene with Glenn right there in the front of the table with freaking his son. And it's just insane. You see Abraham, and they're just happy, and sadly, that future right there's never gonna happen. It's basically broke. We probably won't even see nothing like that because of Negan now, but that was just a heart-wrenching scene, and now I'm really looking forward to see what happens next. But sadly, I don't think next episode's gonna top this. I think this is the highest rated. Basically, I don't know what to say. This is the most pumped up episode right here. Even though not much happened through the whole time, it's just the emotion between the characters and the situation they are in. And I don't know. I really like this episode, but I also hate this episode. Because the reason, it's not nothing bad about that, it's just that characters I didn't want to die, characters that I wanted to see keep on going, continue on living, but that's not gonna happen. But regardless, this was a hard episode. I'm sad. I don't know what I'm doing now, but regardless, it's just time for reflecting, and I reflected. Basically, I gave you my thoughts about this episode, and I hope y'all do the same in the comment section below. What are your thoughts about this? And if you knew about this, cool, whatever, awesome, you know about this, it doesn't matter. I just want to hear what you're looking for next. Even though people out there will say, oh, we know what's going to happen next too, and this and that, it doesn't matter. What are your thoughts? What's going to happen to these characters moving forward? I want to know. Please like, comment down below, and share this video to anyone who cares. And I'll see you next time, people. Take care.